All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the call. This is a special Monday night call, and I want to first just start off by just saying thank you to the wonderful couple, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who asked me to actually do this training. They wanted me to come and do a training on the myEcon compensation, and so we are here tonight to do that training for them, their team there in Arkansas, and all of the things that's going on with them as well. And so I know a lot of you are interested in the myEcon compensation. You're interested in the training, and so what we're going to do is we're going to do something very special tonight, and I'm going to give you a training on the compensation plan like you've never seen before. So it may be helpful if you have a pen and a paper to jot down your questions. May be helpful. Welcome to the call, James. Welcome to the call, Lonnie from Detroit. It also may be helpful if you download document 502, 503, and 604. Those are the myEcon compensation plan documents, so we'll be talking about that. If you have a question tonight, you can unmute your phone by hitting *6. *6 will allow you to speak. You can also type in your questions using the chat window. So there's a chat window that you can type in. This call is being recorded, so if you are viewing the recording of this webinar, please take note that the information presented is presented as of January 25th, 2016. Any information concerning the myEcon compensation plan is subject to change after that date. This training will be a deep dive training into the explanation of the myEcon compensation plan. The slides and information was created by Executive Vice President June Collier, and it is not an official myEcon company training. This is not a replacement of any official company compensation plan training. It is only serving as a resource to serve alongside the official myEcon comp plan training. So now that I've got all of that out of the way, welcome to the call, welcome to the call, welcome to the call. What was the third form? It was for document 502, document 503, and document 604. 604. So I have someone that says that they're not able to see the presentation. I am sharing my screen. So if you can see the presentation, just type in I can, I can, I can. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, thank you so much. I know that the screen can be seen. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the myEcon compensation plan training, January 25th, 2016. This is June Collier. I'm going to jump straight into this and get started here with this training. So the first thing I want to do as we start this training tonight is I want to go over some terminology that may be confusing to a few folks. I know that if you don't know the right terminology, then you may be confused with our compensation plan. And so the big one that I think that a lot of people struggle with is the difference between CV and CPCV. So CV stands for commission value. Every product and service that we sell has a dollar value that's paid out into the field when that product or service is sold. Depending on your rank and status within myEcon will determine what percentage of that commission value you receive. The commission value for each product can be found in your back office by referring to document 601. Document 601. Now, you will also see, and especially when you download your compensation plan training in the back office, you'll also see them reference CPCV. CPCV stands for Consumer Product Commission Value. And oftentimes you'll hear people talk about it, and they will talk about it and use it along with CV. They kind of exchange it back and forth. The difference between CV and CPCV is CPCV is all of the CV products that we have with the exception of the financial service membership, basically the enrollment CV. It is everything else with the exception of the enrollment CV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out of this screen here just for a quick second. Let me pop out of this screen here. And I want to go to the commission chart here so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the commission value chart. You will see the CV that's alongside here on the right-hand side. That basically tells you how much money is paid out to the field for selling that particular product. So we got a product here of Daily Ultimate, 32-ounce bottle. The type is NTR. You'll see that in your back office when somebody buys something. And the price of that product is $36.95. Of that $36.95, $3.40 of CV, commission value, is paid out into the field. That's what the CV is. The CPCV is everything that you see on this sheet, with the exception of these up here at the top, with the exception of the marketing director enrollment, the sales associate enrollment, and the upgrade enrollment. So it's the exception of this $100 CV, okay? CPCV is everything else with the exception of the associate enrollment, all right? Want to make sure that everybody understands that. Let me check my window here to see if any questions are in. No questions. Okay, we can go back into our terminology here. So hopefully everybody understands the terminology now, the difference between CV and CPCV. CV is the commission value of everything that we sell. CPCV is basically the same thing with the exception of the enrollment CV or the financial services membership. All right, next thing. I want to talk about 3 different positions that are here within myEcon. We only have 3 positions. We have a sales associate, which is also referred as an SA. We have a marketing director, which many of you have come in as, MDs. And then we have executive vice president. And then within the executive vice president rank, there are 3 different ranks inside of EVPs. You have an EVP, you have an EVP Gold, you have an EVP Platinum, and then you have an EVP Infinity. So that's pretty standard, pretty straightforward. So we're going to move forward with that. Let's talk about the sales associate and what requires for a sales associate when they come in. A sales associate has a one-time setup fee of $80, and then they have a monthly licensing fee that kicks in 30 days later at $10 a month. So as a sales associate, they come in at $80, and then they have a monthly fee of $10. They also have the option to pay their licensing fee either on a quarterly or annual basis. What that basically means is that they can get that out of the way and pay a one-time payment and be covered for the quarter or covered for the year. Quarterly, they would pay $30. Annually, they would pay $113.95. Now, here's the drawback of a sales associate. They do not receive the Cash Flow Manager Pro. So they don't get the Cash Flow Manager and none of the features that come along with it. They also cannot recruit associates into the business. Essentially, they're just salespeople that come in, and all they can do is sell the products and services. When they sell products and services, they will earn a 15% commission on all products and services that they sell as a sales associate. They, however, can promote to marketing director. They can promote to marketing director by doing 2 things. Either they can sell a financial success membership, which is an FSM. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we do not sell financial success memberships. Basically, that's just an upgrade to an MD. Or they can personally sell $100 worth of CPCV, okay? If they do one of those 2 things, they can get promoted to marketing director. So I want to stop here because I want to make sure that everybody's clear that as a sales associate, if they sell a financial success membership, then they can become a marketing director. Now, if you go back into your back office and we go back to this commission chart, there is no FSM that you can purchase. What that basically is an upgrade to marketing director. You'll see it right here. It says upgrade to marketing director, financial success membership. They would pay for that, and then they would become a marketing director. All right? So they would pay that $99.95 in the $24.95 a month. Actually, it would be $34.95 a month, and then they would become a marketing director. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, because it can be confusing if you're looking in your back office and you're looking at the comp plan and you see that it says that they can become a marketing director by selling an FSM. That's basically an upgrade. There is no FSM that we can sell. You can only upgrade. All right? All right, next slide here. We're going to talk about the marketing director. This is what most people come in. Most people come in as a marketing director. All right, I still can hear it. Speakers are all set up at the top left under. You should see a phone. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of that. Somebody's talking about logging in. Marketing director. There is a one-time setup fee of $179.95. And then from that point forward, 30 days later, there is a $34.95 monthly fee. If I break down that $34.95 monthly fee, it breaks down this way. $10 goes to website management. $24.95 goes to the financial success membership fee. Okay? That's how it breaks down. That's how that $34.95 breaks down. Now, you have an option to pay it on a quarterly or annual basis. So you can pay for your myEcon membership all at once by paying an annual fee of $398.95, and that covers you for the year. Or you can pay it quarterly at $104.85. Now, there's two ways to get promoted as a marketing director to EVP. You can personally sponsor 2 marketing directors, or you can personally sell $200 worth of CPCV. One of the two, and that will get you promoted as an EVP. I know we're starting a little slow, but I want to make sure that we're covering the basics first. All right, let's talk about the financial success membership fee. I need you to understand exactly what is covered under the financial success membership fee. Okay? You get the Cash Flow Manager, you get the Cash Flow Manager Pro. That includes the Cash Flow Manager, and that includes the Pro version of the Cash Flow Manager, so that you can go in and figure out when to pay down your debts and how to save up whatever your retirement savings are going to be. Okay? You also get the ID Defender. That's the identity theft protection. You also get everything that's in Family Shield 360. You'll see that that's going to be free and discounted legal services, tax advice services, income tax preparation services, and then you're also going to see that it says credit restoration services. Now, I put this in red. The credit restoration services is from the Family Shield 360. This is not the National Credit Educational Services that we offer. So we offer 2 types of credit restoration services. This credit restoration service is more of a do-it-yourself credit restoration. The National Credit Educational Services is what we sell where they do it for you, okay? So I want to make sure that you guys know the difference so that you're not telling people that they're going to get that National Credit Education Services. They do have credit restoration services inside of Family Shield. We've always had that, and it's more of a do-it-yourself credit restoration. And then they also receive financial training every Thursday on the Thursday night webinars with Mr. Alvin Curry, and then Super Saturday trainings around the country. That's what's covered under the Financial Success Membership Package. All right. Let's talk about commission. As I told you, each product has a CV value or commission value. You can download document 601 to find out what that commission value is. When you bring someone new into the business, when you bring a brand new person into the business, the marketing director pays a $99.95 setup fee, the $24.95 monthly licensing fee, and that creates $100 worth of CV. That creates $100 worth of CV, okay? Sales associates receive 15% on all personal sales that they generate. As a marketing director, you receive 15% on all personal CPCV sales. As an executive vice president, you receive 25% on all personal CV sales, okay? Now, you also receive an override as an executive vice president. You get 10% of CPCV generated by sales associates and marketing directors in your base shop. There is something now that we've created called a retail bonus, a retail shopping bonus, and that is it pays out 100% of CPCV of anything that you personally sell, and it pays out 85% of CPCV by anything that's sold in your base shop. If you got to meet these qualifications, if you've produced $10 of personal CV in the prior 5 cycles, $30 in the prior 13 cycles, $60 in the prior 26 cycles, or $120 in the prior 52 cycles. So let me explain to you what that really means, because this is really important. This 100% of payout is unheard of. This is unheard of. So I'm gonna tap out of this just for a second and go back up here to our commission chart here. So this is what this means. Let's just say I'm going to go down here to one of the highest CV values that we have, which is the credit restoration services that we offer. Let me see if I can find it here. Cash flow manager, coffee, travel, ID defender. I don't even see it on here. I don't know where it went. Let's see here. Credit repair. Here we go. So here we have credit repair down here. It costs $349. It has a CV of $100. A CV of $100. Now, as a executive vice president, you receive 25% commission on personal sales. So let's just say that you went out and sold your brother-in-law this credit repair. You would get 25% of that $100, which is $25. But if you met the special qualifications that I just announced, you would get another 100% of this. So 100% of $100 is what? $100. So you will receive $100 and $125 because you get 25% for being an EVP, and then if you meet the qualifications, you get 100% also. So that's 125% payout. You see why that's extremely valuable, 125% payout. So if I go back here to our slide here, as I said, you got to meet these qualifications. The qualification is that you need to have $10 of personal CV in the prior 5 cycles, $30 of personal CV in the prior 13 cycles, $60 in the prior 26 cycles, or $120 in the prior 52 cycles. What that basically just means is that you need to be buying products inside of myEcon. It doesn't take a whole lot. And let me just kind of share with you why I say it doesn't take a whole lot. You guys should see this in your back office. When you log into your back office, you're going to see something that looks similar to this in your back office. Let me go back here. It's going to be your base shop builder bonus. And it's going to show you, if you're active, what your rank is, what's your base shop retention. And then it's going to show you your personal CPCV. So what you need to do is you need to make sure, in order to qualify for your retail bonuses, you need to have double whatever these numbers show here. So the number says 5, you need $10. As long as you got $10 or more right here in this column, you're good to go. If you got more than $30, because it's going to be double this, as long as it's more than $30 in this column, you're good to go. $60, if it's more than $60, you're good to go. $120, you're good to go. So what you want to do is make sure that you're using your cashback mall. Make sure that you're, buying some coffee or some tea. Make sure that you've got roadside assistance, because these are our products. We need to be able to talk to people about our products. And how can you talk about the products if you don't use the products? By using the products, that'll get you your CV. We're saying $10 of CV in the last 5 weeks and you're qualified. That's not a whole lot. So just make sure that you go out and that you're qualified there. All right, let me see if there's any questions out here. All right. I thought this changed in October 2015 when the price went from 29 to 34, since ID and roadside come with the membership. I don't know what the question is. ID comes with it, not roadside. Yeah, roadside is a separate purchase. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Roadside assistance is not part of the $34.95. The credit, the ID, identity theft protection, is part of it. All right, the question is, CV is now satisfied. You're absolutely correct. CV is now satisfied with the $34.95, but the CV with the $34.95 does not cover the $10 that you need to qualify for the bonus, for the retail bonus. So to get 100% commission, you need $10 of CV. The $34.95 only covers the $5 worth of CV. So if I answer your question, hopefully that clarified that question for you. Okay? All right. Do we have the National Credit Restoration as part of the? No, we do not. That is something that is purchased separately. Like I just said, we do have credit restoration, but it's credit restoration that is a do-it-yourself. Let me go back to that slide. So whoever asked that question, make sure you're paying attention to my slides here. Financial Success Membership. Credit restoration services are a part of it, but it's the credit restoration services that came from Family Shield 360. This is not National Credit Educational Services, okay? So that's where I said it's not Family Education National Credit Services, okay? All right, let's go on. Let's continue on here. Get questions. All right. Next thing that I'm going to cover is I'm going to cover what the thing that you guys actually came here to be on the call tonight to see. So we're going to talk about promotions, and we're going to talk about the compensation plan. The first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about a marketing director being promoted to an EVP. So I'm going to walk through this, and each slide I'm going to stop and have you ask any questions. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to picture yourself right here. This person is you, and you came into myEcon and you're a marketing director. Now the first thing that you want to do as a marketing director is you want to get promoted as an EVP. So in order to get promoted as an EVP, you need to bring in two people. So let's look at what you do. You go out and you get Doug and Sue. Those are your first two people. And when you get two people, you bring those two people in, you are promoted to Executive Vice President. On top of being promoted to Executive Vice President, you also receive $25 for both of those two people that you brought into the business. You also will receive 50% of anything that they do in their base shop minus their builder bonus and minus their retail bonus, okay? So what you see here is you sponsored two MDs. You became an EVP. You made 25 times 2. That's $50. You also get a 50% match on their base shop income, not including the builder bonus or the retail sales bonus, okay? I want to make sure everybody understands that. And that's what you get, okay? I'm going to look and see if there's any questions on that. That's pretty standard, okay? No questions. Now, here's where my slide is going to be different here, because everybody is always so concerned about what happened to my first two. Did I give away my first two? What happened to my first two? And in the slides that we show in myEcon, the official slides that we show of the official comp plan training, you never really see what happens to the first two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the first two, because everybody is so concerned about the first two. They feel like they're giving up the first two, or they're giving away the first two. And I want you to understand that you're not, okay? So I'm going to explain what happens to Doug and Sue. So you just brought in Doug and Sue. Now, you had an upline. Your upline, his name was Steve. Steve is your sponsor. He sponsored you. And when you brought in Sue and Doug, here's what happened. Doug and Sue are now in your sponsor's base shop. You are in your sponsor's base shop as well. When your sponsor brought you in, he brought you into his base shop. In order for you to get out of his base shop, you've got to create 2 people and hit EVP to graduate out of his base shop. So what happens is you brought in Sue and Doug, and now you've graduated out of the base shop. Your sponsor now has 3 people in his base shop. That's you and Sue and Doug. That's 3 people that's counting towards his 7. Once you satisfy the 2 and become an EVP, you move on out of the way. And you leave Doug and Sue in your sponsor's base shop. Okay? Now, let's imagine for a moment that Sue is a dud. She does nothing. She does absolutely nothing and quits the business. Your sponsor, Steve, doesn't benefit anything from Sue because she quit the business. But let's just say that Doug is a hot runner, and Doug is a superstar. Doug, that is. So now Doug is still in your sponsor's base shop. So Doug says, listen, I want to be an EVP too. So what does Doug have to do to become an EVP? He's got to go out and get 2 people. So Doug goes out and gets Kim and Ann. And when he gets Kim and Ann, he gets $25 for each. He gets 50% of their base shop, and he gets promoted to EVP. Okay, so Doug goes off and gets promoted to EVP. Now, what about Steve? Well, Steve gets Doug's first 2 people because Doug was in his base shop. And in order for Doug to graduate out of Steve's base shop, Doug had to give, and I won't say give, but Doug had to go and recruit 2 people so that he could get promoted to EVP. So Doug gets promoted to EVP. And Ann and Kim stay in your sponsor Steve's base shop. Okay? And this happens until unlimited depths. So your sponsor Steve is now going to help Ann and Kim get promoted. When Ann and Kim get promoted, in order for them to get out of Steve's base shop, they've got to become EVPs. So they've got to recruit or sponsor 2 people. That's 4 people total, and then they will leave your sponsor's base shop, and then 4 people will be there that remain. And this is the power of multiplication. All that happens with those 2 is they help multiply that sponsor, whoever base shop they're in, they help multiply that base shop. Okay? So let me just make sure that there's any questions here. Okay, I thought the number of direct sponsors needed to get the MVP. Okay, it's not MVP, it's Executive Vice President, it's EVP, was 3. Has that changed? Yes, it has changed. You need 2 people to get promoted to EVP. Okay? You need 2 people to get promoted to EVP. All right? So it used to be 3 people to get promoted to EVP. It is now 2 people to get promoted to EVP. All right? Great question. Okay? All right, so let's talk about Doug. Remember, Doug was your person. Doug got promoted to EVP. Okay? Doug was your second person that you brought into the business. So we're still talking about those 2 people that you brought into the business. Remember, Sue was the dud. She didn't do anything. She quit the business. But Doug is a superstar, and he was one of your first 2 people. So you're still concerned about, well, how do I make money off of Doug because he was in my sponsor's base shop? Well, I'm getting ready to show you. So Doug graduated out of your sponsor's base shop, and Doug became an EVP. For every personal person that Doug sponsored, he earns $50. Because as an EVP, we earn $50 for every person that we bring into the business. So Doug goes out, he gets Paul, he gets Tara, and he gets Beth. And he earns $50 for Beth, Tara, and Paul. That's a total of $150. And Paul, Tara, and Beth are in Doug's base shop. Now, because Doug was one of your first 2, remember, you get 50% of whatever he does in his base shop. So Doug earns $150, you earn $75. Okay? Now, Beth, Tara, and Paul, they both want to get recruited, and they both want to hit EVP. So in order for them to hit EVP, what do they have to do? They got to get 2 people to graduate as EVPs. So they go out and they get their 2. When they go out and they get their 2, because Doug did not directly sponsor them, Doug gets $25 for each one of these people because these people are in Doug's base shop. So Doug earns another $150. But guess what? Because you were Doug's sponsor and you sponsored Doug and Doug was one of your first 2, you receive 50% of whatever Doug receives in his base shop. So you receive $75. Okay? And this goes to infinity. It goes to infinity. So stop worrying about your first 2. You're getting paid on those first 2. Doug is part of your first 2. You're going to get paid on everything that Doug does in his base shop to infinity. You're going to make 50% of whatever Doug makes. So if Doug makes $50 on personal sponsors, you're going to make $25. If he makes $25 on indirect sponsors, you're going to make $12.50. So you make 50% of everything that Doug does in his base shop to unlimited depth. Okay? So hopefully everybody understands that. I'm going to pause right now. If you have a question about this, before I go on, if you have a question, please ask your question now. We're still talking about your first 2. Normally we don't even talk about your first 2, but we're talking about your first 2 tonight. This is how you get paid off of your first 2. So if you have a question, hit *6. I see someone typing in a question. All right, so I got John Pettiford. He says June, yes. All right, good. Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate that. Okay, so yes, folks, this is what happens to your first 2. Stop worrying about them. If they go out and they do great things, you're going to get paid. Don't even worry about it. It's a done deal. Okay? So now that we no longer worried about our first 2, let's go back and start thinking about ourselves. Because we just got promoted to EVP. Okay? So these slides that I was just talking about is your first 2. Now I'm getting ready to go back and talk about you. What's going on with you? Because we already know your first 2 are going to be taken care of. So you got promoted to an EVP. If you remember, you were promoted to EVP. Now, you want to bring in your first base shop. So you got to bring in your 3rd person to create your first base shop. So for that person that said, I thought you needed 3 to become an EVP, you only need 2 to become an EVP. But you do need 3 to start your base shop. So the 3rd person is going to start your base shop. So as an EVP, you bring this guy by the name of Grant. You bring Grant into the business. And as an EVP, you earn $50 for every person that you personally sponsor. Grant is your 3rd recruit, and he is the first person in your base shop. So you earn $50 on Grant. Now, I'm going to stop here just for a moment. As an EVP, you can personally sponsor as many people as you want and create as many base shops as you want. You can go as wide as you want. And I recommend you going wide as you want. But in this example, I'm going to show you how someone can recruit 3 people in this business and just hit EVP Gold, Infinity, and can hit all of the positions with only 3 people that they personally sponsor. Now remember, if you sponsor and go wide and sponsor as many people as you can, you're going to hit these numbers faster. But if you're not good at recruiting, then you can still be a person that only brings 3 people in, and you can hit all of the positions in myEcon. And I'm going to show you that. So Grant is the 3rd person that you brought into this business. Now, what do you think Grant wants to do? See, everybody that comes in this business, they want to become an EVP. And so in order for Grant to become an EVP, he got to put 2 people in the business. So when he puts 2 people in the business, he puts Tony and Tim in the business. Grant receives $25 off of Tony and Tim. And because Tony and Tim are not your direct sponsors, but they're indirect, you receive $25. So you get $50 for everyone that you personally sponsor, and then everyone else that's in your base shop that you didn't personally sponsor, you get $25. So Grant is the person in your base shop, you get $50, and then Grant brought in 2 people, and you get $25 for those 2 people. So Grant gets promoted to EVP. And here's what happens. Grant is going to get promoted out of your base shop. But now you already have 3 people now in your base shop. You got Grant, Tim, and Tony. Grant is going to get promoted. He's going off. He's no longer in your base shop. You now have Tony and Tim. So now you got 3 people that count towards your 7 for your builder bonus. Now let's see what happens to Tony and Tim. So here you are as an EVP. You've got Tony and Tim. Let me stop here real quick and see if there's any questions. All right. Here's a question here. If you only have 2 and 1 quits, will you lose your EVP status? No. And that's the beautiful thing about myEcon. Once you put 2 in and you hit EVP, you're an EVP. You are an EVP. Now, I will say this. In your compensation plan, if you look at your compensation plan, and even if you look at your back office, you will see that it says to be qualified for commissions, you must have 2 active, personally active sponsors. So you can be an EVP, but you might not get paid. See, I would rather get paid than have the title, but you can be an EVP, but you got to make sure that you at least have 2 people at all times that's in your organization that you personally sponsor that are active. That's a great question that somebody just asked. You don't lose your status, but if you're not qualified, you don't get your bonus. So in order to get your bonus, you got to have 2 people that are active in the business. Hopefully that answers your question. This also says, does this include the CPCV? Does this include the CPCV? I don't know what that question, if you can elaborate on that, Vivian, about the CPCV. All right, so I'm gonna move on, and I'll let Vivian ask a more detailed question there. So you came in, you brought Tony and Tim are now in your base shop. Now Tony and Tim, what do they want to do? They want to promote as EVPs, and you want to help them promote to EVP. So you help Tony and Tim promote the EVP. They go out and they get 2 more people each. They get Deborah, Kia, Alicia, and Chris. When they get those people, they get promoted to EVP. They also earn $25 on each person here. You also earn $25 on these people because they're in your base shop. So here's what you just earned. You earned 25 times 4. You just made $100. Plus, you hit your base shop because you got 7 people. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And remember, you didn't directly recruit Tony and Tim. That was the guy that you brought in. That was, I forget what his name was. But that was the other guy that you brought in. So you got 7 people. You just hit your $1,000 bonus. Okay? So you hit your $1,000 bonus. Now, Tony and Tim are going to go off, and then they're going to leave Deb, Kia, Alicia, and Chris with you. Okay? Because those are their first 2. They left those first 2 with you. So let's take a look at what happens now. You're still an EVP. But now in your base shop, you've got Deb, Kia, Alicia, and Chris. Now remember, you've only recruited 3 people. That's all that you've ever recruited. But because every time someone promotes out of your base shop, they have to leave 2. So it gets better and better. Every time you promote somebody, they leave 2 more. So we got Deb, Kia, and Alicia here. What do you think each one of these individuals want to do? You guessed it. They want to become an EVP. In order for them to become an EVP, they need to get 2 people. So they all get 2 people. 4 EVPs that graduate out of your base shop, they're going to leave 8 people back into your base shop. So what's going to happen with that? You're going to get $25 for all 8 people. That's $200. And you now got 8 people in your base shop. So guess what else just triggered? Your builder bonus for 7 just triggered again. So you just made another $1,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've only put in 3 people. You've already hit your builder bonus twice. Okay? Let me see if there's any questions out here. All right, cool. No questions. So hopefully you guys got that. Let me go back and just make sure that you got that before I show you the next slide here. This is your base shop, and all you're doing is working your base shop. Now, here's what I want to tell you guys, and I'm talking to myself because I haven't been good at this either. You're going to get to a point where people are going to come into your base shop and you don't even know who they are. You don't know what their name is. You don't know where they came from. You have no idea who they are, but they're sitting inside of your base shop. Ladies and gentlemen, you are missing out on opportunities if you do not work with the people in your base shop. It does not matter whether you know them or not. Here's what you know. Here's what you need to know. If they are in your base shop, that means that they are already in myEcon. So stop being scared to talk to them because they've already seen the presentation. They've already joined the business. There's no reason for you to be afraid of them. They're sitting in your base shop because they joined the business. Now it's your time to reach out to them, welcome them to the organization. Hey, listen, my name is June Collier. I see that you're sitting inside of my base shop. Welcome to myEcon. I'm here to help you out in any possible way that I can. In fact, it's my mission to help you get to EVP. See, we get paid to help people get promoted to EVP because in order for them to promote the EVP, they need 2 people. And I know that those 2 people are going to remain in my base shop. So see, you could be just like this individual, only bring in 3 people, and if you just keep working your base shop, and Mr. Stokes calls it tap rooting. If you just keep tap rooting, you see how this thing just keeps growing and growing and growing. Right now, we got 8 people on our base shop in this example. If those 8 people become EVPs, that means that they got to give 2 people. That's 16 people now in your base shop. 16 people, you just hit the builder bonus twice. Now you're getting $2,000 instead of $1,000. And then let 16 people hit EVP. That's 32 people in your base shop. You just hit your builder bonus 4 times. Now you just got $4,000. And you only recruited 3 people. So see, this compensation plan is not designed for, if you're not a good recruiter, that's okay. But what you have to be is you have to be a good leader. Let me say that again. You don't have to be a good recruiter to make money in myEcon. I just showed you that. This guy right here only recruited 3 people. You don't have to be a good recruiter, but you have to be a good leader. And what a leader does is they go into their back office and they look at who's in their base shop. And your goal is to help those people in your base shop get out of your base shop. I want you out of my base shop. Why? Because to get you out of my base shop, you got to leave me too. And then I want to get those 2 out of my base shop. That's the goal, is to promote as many EVPs as you possibly can. That's all you got to do. If you focus on helping people promote the EVP, which is very easy, just 2 people. If you help people promote the EVP, you'll hit everything that you ever want in myEcon. Everything. All right? So hopefully you got this. Hopefully you got this piece. If there's any questions, now's the time to ask questions or to type in your questions. All right. I don't see any questions. I don't hear any questions. So now you're going to ask me this question. Well, June, what happened to all of those people that got promoted out of my base shop and became EVPs? Well, here's what happened to them. Here's the people that got promoted out of your base shop as EVPs. They're no longer in your base shop. They become what we call first-generation EVPs. First-generation EVPs. Remember, Grant was the only person that you actually recruited. Remember, you only recruited 3 people. But now, because of the multiplication factor, you got all these other EVPs in your first generation. That's the beauty of this thing. Guys, if you don't understand this, that's the beauty of this. So you got Grant, Tim, Tony, Chris, Alicia, Kia, and Deborah as your first-generation EVPs. There's 7 first-generation EVPs. So what happens with my first-generation EVPs? Those EVPs now are going out and they're building their business. They're putting people in the business. So here's what happens. Every time they put somebody in the business, you get $5. That's your first-generation EVP. Every time they put somebody in the business, you get $5. $5, $5, $5. Okay? Now here's the thing. I need you guys to understand that there's a difference between generation and levels. And I'm talking to those of you who have been in network marketing before. If you've been in another network marketing company where they have levels, there's a difference between generation and levels. There's a big difference, okay? A generation, basically, these people that are in your first generation EVPs, they will always be in your first generation. And all the people that they bring in, until those people get promoted to EVP, all of those people will always be in your first generation. It don't matter how deep it goes. If none of these people ever get promoted to EVP, they will always be in your first generation, even if it's 100 levels deep. If they never get promoted to EVP, they will always remain in your first generation. Okay? Now, as an EVP, you get $5 for every person that comes into your first generation. As a gold, those same people now that come in are worth $15. As a platinum, they're worth $25, and as an infinity, they're worth $30. And they're in your first generation. See, it doesn't matter how deep, because it's the generation, it's not the level. I need you guys to understand that, because that's huge. That's a huge mind shift, because it took me some time to understand this, because I've been in network marketing companies and we deal with levels. Here in myEcon, it's all about generations. Okay? Any questions on that? Any questions on generations? All right, so this is called your generational override. But you also receive residual bonuses. Your monthly residuals, which is called your Dream Team residuals, as an EVP, you get $1 off of everybody in your first generation for Dream Team residuals. If you're a gold, it's $3. If you're a platinum, it's $5. If it's affinity, it's $8. All right, I see some questions coming in. At some point, will you go into the back office so we can see the base shop, the location of the base shop? Well, that's private. I don't want to show you my base shop. If you want me to get a screenshot of your back office, I'll do that. But no, we won't go into the back office to see the base shop. Okay? You need to get with your upline. If you want to see where your EVPs are in your base shop, you need to get with your upline to go into your base shop to see where those EVPs are. Okay? All right. So this is your Dream Team residuals. You get paid Dream Team residuals, and that's every month. And depending on what rank you are, you get paid those Dream Team residuals. All right? Now, let me help you understand something on generation. So we got Tony right here, and Tony brings in this guy right here below him. This guy will forever be in your first generation until this guy becomes an EVP himself. And once this guy becomes an EVP, he will become part of your second generation EVP. Okay? So let me go back and take a look at something here. I am going to go over second generation. We're going to talk about second generation right now. So let me exit out of this so that you can see this commission chart here. Let's see, where is it? Give me one quick second here. I think I've got it here somewhere. Oh, here it is. All right. So you guys should have seen this. This should be something that you're familiar with. This is a sheet that you should be familiar with. And on this sheet, what you'll see here is this is generation 1. You'll see generation 1 here. Generation 2. This is what you get paid. And you get paid as an EVP. So in this column, we're an EVP here in this column. In this column, you get paid all the way down to generation 4. When you get promoted to EVP Gold, you get paid all the way to generation 5. Okay? And it remains that way until you hit EVP Infinity, and then you get some real money then. It gets kind of really crazy once you hit EVP Infinity. Okay? But this is your generation. This shows your generations. And again, you go to generations, and the best way for me to show you your generations is here. You guys are familiar with this compensation plan. So here you are, you get 2 people, you hit EVP, this promotion to EVP. Okay, those are the 2 people. We never talk about what happens to them. You go out, you get C, and then C goes out and get these people. C is the first person in your base shop. Okay, you start getting paid. All right, you get paid again. And here's what happens. C now goes out and brings in his 3rd person. When C brings his 3rd person, C now becomes your first generation EVP. Okay, C becomes first generation EVP because he's now got 3 people. All right, now his 3rd person, which is C14. C14 brings in C15. C15 now hits EVP. C15 is C's first generation, but he happens to be your 2nd generation. Okay? It's just like having a child. You have a child. That's your first generation. Your child has a child. You become a granddaddy or grandmama. That's your 2nd generation. Your grandchild has a child. That becomes your 3rd generation. Okay? That's how the generations work. But they don't become a generation until they become EVPs. If they don't grow up into be an EVP, they will forever remain a child and stay in that generation. So they will never graduate to the next generation until they become an EVP. So hopefully that made a lot of sense to you. I know it's a little confusing there, but hopefully that made a lot of sense. All right. Let's see what questions that we have coming in. Can the report be added to show what your first 2 prospects are doing? There is no report, to my knowledge, that's going to show what your first 2 are actually doing. You won't see anything. You won't see their growth because those first 2 are not in your base shop. They're in somebody else's base shop. They're in your upline's base shop. Okay? And I see we're still stuck on the first 2. Let me tell you guys, the first 2, don't worry about it. They're gonna do what they need to do. Your money is in the 3rd person and beyond. That's where your growth is. The first 2 will give you some great money. They'll give you good money, 50% match on anything that they do. But where you're going to see your team growing and where you need to be focused is you need to be focused on number 3 and beyond. Because see, when you become an EVP, now when people give you their first 2, and they're not really giving you their first 2, but when their first 2 roll into your base shop, you're going to take care of your base shop. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You need to be focused on your base shop. Don't focus on anything else. If you're worried about the first 2, then you're going to lose focus because those first 2 are in somebody else's base shop. Stay focused on your own base shop. Those 2 are going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to give you 50% of whatever they do in their base shop and just count that as extra slush money. That's slush money. But where you need to focus on the growth of your business, the growth of your business is not in the first 2. Because the only thing that you'll ever receive on the first 2 is 50% of what they do in their base shop. You won't get any growth. You just get money. And you only get 50% of whatever they do. But in your base shop, you get growth and money. That's where you need to be focused. Focus on your base shop so you can get the growth and the money. The first 2 are not things that you need to be concerned with. Okay? All right. So there is no report that tells you what's going on with your first 2. No report that's going to tell you what's going on with your first 2. All right. If you're in good with your upline, have your upline share his back office with you, and he'll show you what your first 2 are doing. But there's no need for you to take a look at that. Okay? All right. So let's talk about how do you get promoted to EVP Gold. How do you get promoted to EVP Gold? This is really, really important because if you don't understand this, it's going to hurt you. So let's just say, as an EVP Gold, you need 30 active associates in your organization. Write that down. You need 30 active associates in your organization. But those 30 active associates have to be in a certain way. You cannot have more than 12 in any base shop of EVPs. Okay, so in this example, you'll see that we have you, and you got 10 people in your base shop. Okay, so that's less than 12, so all 10 are going to count. Then you got your first generation EVPs. Remember we had all these first generation EVPs? It doesn't count on any second generation EVPs. Okay? Because see, what you need to be worried about is your base shop. All you're worried about is your base shop and promoting first generation EVPs. If you worry about your base shop and promoting first generation EVPs, your second generation EVPs, your third generation EVPs, they're going to take care of themselves. All you got to do, this business is easy. All you got to do is focus on your first generation EVPs. Focus on your base shop. You promote EVPs out of your base shop. Every EVP that you promote out of your base shop will be part of your first generation EVP. And this is why it's so important. This is why it's important. These first generation EVPs, the number below is the number of associates that they have in their organization. So we got 5, 30, 5, 1, 10, 5, 5. They got a total of 61 associates in their organizations. Okay? Now you would think, well, hey, I only need 30, so I definitely qualify. And you do, but you don't qualify based on 61. You qualify based on 43. And here's why. You cannot have more than 12 people in any first generation leg to count towards your EVP goal. So you see Kia, she had 30 people in her organization. So only 12 are going to count because you can only have a maximum of 12 in any first generation EVP. So what you got to do is you got to go out and you got to promote EVPs out of your base shop because you cannot hit EVP goal without any EVPs. You got to have a minimum of 2 first generation EVPs to even hit gold. Because if you had Deb and Kia, and Deb had 12, Kia had 12, that's a total of 24, and then you had 6, you have 30, now you can promote to EVP gold. But the more EVPs that you have, the easier it's going to be for you to hit gold, platinum, and infinity. So focus on your base shop. I keep going back to that base shop because it's so important. If you promote people out of your base shop and just keep your eyes focused on your base shop, everything else is going to take care of itself. And all you got to do is train your people to focus on their base shop. If everybody in myEcon would just focus on their base shop and help people get promoted to EVP, everybody would hit EVP platinum eventually or infinity. Okay? So I wanted to make sure that you understood this. Your promotion is based on how many people you have in your base shop plus your first generation EVPs. That's it. I'm going to say that again. Your promotion is based on how many people you have in your first generation EVP and how many people you personally have in your base shop. That's it. And as an EVP goal, you can have no more than 12 in any of those EVPs, those first generation EVPs. So whatever your second generation EVP has, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. We're only focused on your first generation EVPs. Okay, so if you read what it takes to get qualified, EVP requires 30 active associates in your super team, okay, with no more than 12 in your base shop or 12 in any first generation EVP. So we can have no more than 12. If it's got more than 12, it's going to only count 12. Okay? So here's what that means. You can't have just one person that's just blowing it out of the water and think that one person is going to carry you all the way to infinity. It doesn't work that way. You got to be a leader. Again, you don't necessarily have to be a recruiter, but you got to be a leader, and you got to be working your base shop and getting EVPs and promoting EVPs out of your base shop. Okay? So let's take a look and see if there's any questions here. Does the first gen EVP count as 1? Yes, the first gen EVP would count as 1. Okay? Good question. So the CPCV doesn't matter. Yes, it does. So you will see that part of hitting EVP gold, you got to have 30 active associates. They got to be specifically placed. And you have to have $125 of CPCV in your super team. Okay? Basically, your super team is everybody in your organization with the exception of the first 2 that you brought in. The first 2 that you brought in do not count as part of your super team. So anybody that comes in from your third and thereon, those are part of your super team. I think it says EVP, first gen, second gen, third gen, and fourth gen. and any MDs or SAs that you have in your base shop. So basically, everybody with the exception of the first two are part of your super team. Okay?
June, quick question.
Yes, sir.
This is Kirk Hansen out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. If you could impress upon the audience that when they get somebody added into their base shop, it generates an email to you so that you'll know who's exactly falling in your base shop, even I guess to infinity, if I'm correct, because they keep following your base shop. You'll get an email in your personal email and in your message center in the back office there.
Absolutely. So every time an EVP, and I was doing a training one Super Saturday, and I had an EVP drop into my base shop while I was doing training, and I had my email up, and I saw an email, just like you said, I got an email that says you got somebody in your base shop. So everybody should know when somebody hits your base shop. It shouldn't be a surprise. You should get an email for every person that enters into your base shop. And so what you want to do is you want to log into your back office and take a look at your base shop. What I may end up doing is I may ask Mr. Stokes to, since we have a dummy account, and what I may end up doing is I may ask him if we could somehow use the dummy account to show the reporting structure, because I know that there really needs to be a training on reports and how to look at reports. And again, the reason why I don't want to do report training is because I don't want to necessarily show my back office, and I know no one else wants to show their back office. And so we probably need to have a dummy account that we can log in so that we can do training on how to pull reports. But definitely get with your sponsor to work with you on pulling reports, because your sponsor knows what's in your back office anyway. But yes, you get an email every time somebody comes into your base shop. And so this is what it takes for EVP Gold. It's no different for EVP Platinum. Same thing with EVP Platinum. You got the same first generations. With EVP Platinum, you need 200 sponsors with no more than 50 in your base shop or 50 in any first generation. So in this case, all of these counted. We had 160 people, and all of them counted because no one had more than 50. Even you didn't have more than 50 in your base shop. So you got a total of 160 from your first generation EVPs, plus you had 40 in your base shop yourself. That's a total of 200. That will get you promoted to EVP Platinum. Okay? And then for Infinity, it's the exact same thing. Again, just the only thing that changes are the numbers. Infinity, you need 800. And don't forget, at each level, the CPCV goes up as well. But it's the same. And so that's what makes this model very sweet, is because once you understand that all you need to focus on is your base shop and your first generation EVPs, once you focus on that, that's it. Everything else is going to repeat itself. Everything else is the same. You just focus on your base shop, taproot your base shop, promote as many EVPs out of your base shop as you possibly can. Just keep promoting EVPs out of your base shop, and then teach them to do the same thing. And then you don't have to worry about anything else. You're going to hit your numbers. Okay? All right, let's take a look and see what kind of questions we have out there. Can you lose a rank once you earn it if you don't lose it? Okay, good question. So in a lot of places, a lot of other companies, and those are types of questions that people ask who have been a part of other network marketing companies, where like my previous network marketing company, you would go on probation. They would call it probation. And you would be on 30 days of probation if, someone dropped out or whatever happened in your organization, you could go on probation. And then once you went on probation, you would go on probation for 30 days. And then at the end of the 30 days, if you didn't get back to where you were supposed to be, then you would drop down to the next rank. Here in myEcon, you never lose your position. Once you are an EVP, you're an EVP. Once you are a gold, you're a gold. However, if you don't meet the qualifications of a gold, you don't get paid like a gold. So you might as well say, yeah, you got demoted, but no one will ever stop calling you an EVP gold. And I'll give you an example. So when I first became an EVP gold, I think I hit EVP gold like 6 months ago, something like that. It was about 6 months ago. when I initially hit EVP Gold, I just barely had the numbers of hitting EVP Gold. And then, like the very next week, I looked in my back office and I didn't have the numbers again. So when you first hit a position, it takes a little bit of momentum to push through that position before you're solid as an EVP Gold. And that's for every position. When you hit EVP Platinum, you probably are going to waver back and forth initially until you push through EVP Platinum to be real solid. So as an EVP Gold, you need 30 active people. So let's just say that you hit EVP Gold with 30 active people. And then next week, somebody just decides to cancel. Well, now you're back to just being an EVP. So what you have to do is you have to give it time, because you'll hit EVP Gold, and then you just keep your team recruiting, and you guys keep sponsoring until you got 50 active people. Now you're a solid EVP Gold. That's what I call somebody that's solid. When I'm like right now, I feel like I'm a solid EVP Gold now. When I first hit EVP, I was going back and forth, because just the numbers. You know, people weren't buying the CV like they should, and all this other crazy stuff that was going on. The beautiful thing now is with the FSM, the $34.95, I don't have to now go out and say, man, everybody get your $5 with the CV. So when I first hit EVP Gold, that was a challenge. It was because I had some people that didn't have their $5 with the CV. So now I don't have to worry about that, but I do have to worry about, do I have the active number of people on my team? And so as it grows, I become a more solid EVP Gold. And so now my focus is EVP Platinum. I'm not really focused on EVP Gold anymore because I'm pretty solid as an EVP Gold. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay, one of the $1,000 bonuses. Can you explain the 70% rule each month? It's not clear to me how it works. Okay, that's a good question. So in your back office, man, I'm tempted to go to my back office. In your back office, when you bring people into your business, you have to maintain a 1 month and a 3 month retention rate. I think the 1 month retention rate now is 80%, and I want to say that the 3 month retention rate is 70%. I believe that's what it is. What that basically means is that when somebody comes into your business, and you know what, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my back office here. I'm going to go into my back office. Let's see here. Where is it? Okay, here's my back office. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to answer your question on that so that you can see it. We'll go down here to at a glance. Okay, so here's what we'll see here. At a glance. So what you're going to see is that your base shop retention has to be at least 80%. And so what I had here was I have 100%, which means that everybody that comes into my business pays at least for their first month. So here's what that means. For 80% retention, that first month retention, somebody comes in at $179. And then 30 days later, they get billed for $34.95. If they do not pay that $34.95, then you do not have 100% retention. They got to pay that first month. They got to pay that first $34.95. And so if they don't pay, then it shows the percentage based on how many people that you brought in. So I'm going to give you an example. I brought in a gentleman in the business a couple of months ago, and in November. He came in November. And then in December, I'm looking at my back office, and I'm looking to see who's inactive and who's active. And I wish I could show that, but in your back office, you can check little boxes to see who's active in your business and who's inactive. And so I went to see who was inactive. When somebody is inactive, that means that either their debit card has expired or overdraft or something. They just didn't pay, okay? They haven't quit the business, but something ain't right with their money. And so I went back there and I saw right here my retention rate was like a 96%. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because, I pride myself on this 100%. And I know eventually at some point I'm not going to have 100% forever. But right now I'm priding myself on having 100%. And so I said, well, what's going on? And I go into my back office and I see the person who went inactive. And so I called him up and I said, hey, man, what happened? You just went inactive. And he said somebody had stolen his wallet or something and he had to cancel his debit cards. And he was getting some new debit cards, and he would re-update himself as soon as that happened. So what I did is you got to stay on top of that. You got to make sure, because if you don't hit your 80%, then you won't get the full $1,000. I think it's $700 if you're under 80%. And matter of fact, that's in your comp plan. This is one of your comp plans here, and I would have to scroll through here to find out exactly where it is. But you've got to maintain 80% or better in order for you to get the $1,000 bonus. Okay, and I don't want you guys watching me as I look through here, but it's 80%. It's 80% for the first month, and then I think by your third month you have to have like 70% or something like that. And I don't know exactly where it is off the top of my head real quick, but it's in there somewhere. It's in that document, and it tells you that. And so that basically is what it is. You've got to make sure that people are paying their monthly fee, and they've got to at least pay it. In my mind now, with the new promotions and everything that we have, I got to at least make sure that they're paying their fee at least for the first 3 months that they're in the business. So you got to keep them active, for the first 3 months. Not that I don't want to keep them active for longer than that, but in order for you to get the full $1,000 commission, you want to keep them active for at least the first 3 months that they're in the business. And I'm looking for it right now. Here it is. So you may receive, and let me zoom this in so that you guys can see this. $1,000 bonus each time they have 7 new MDs in their base shop in the prior 75 commission periods. So that's important too. You got 75 weeks to get 7 people. 75 weeks. That's over a year to get seven people. And then it says that you must have a 1-month base shop retention rate of at least 85% and a 3-month base shop retention rate of at least 70% to receive $1,000 bonus. Otherwise, you'll get $750. Okay? So basically what I'm doing is everybody on my team, I'm staying on them. For 3 months, I need you to pay your $34.95 for 3 months, because I don't want my base shop retention to drop lower than 70%. Okay? So hopefully that answered your question. All right. If you join myEcon during Cash Flow Mania promotion, when do you receive the sponsorship commission for anyone you sponsored during that time? Okay, so you will receive commission in June. If they came in under the $12.95, you will receive that commission on them in June. You're going to see your numbers spike in June. You're going to see the numbers, and you're going to see, like, if you're an EVP and you're hoping to make EVP Gold, and you had all these people that came in under the Christmas special, they're in the business, and you're like, man, I should have 30 people now because of the Christmas special, where you're probably not going to see them for your EVP Gold status until June. By June, they're officially, active. They're active, but they really count. They count in June. They really kind of count in June. So what I tell people is the Christmas special is great, but right after the Christmas special is over with, you still got to get to work. Get to work and start putting people in the business, because you want to be EVP Gold now. You don't want to wait till June to be EVP Gold. You want to be EVP Gold today. So start putting people in the business today. Okay. They will be qualified in June. Yes, they'll be qualified in June. So we should have a lot of people hitting, different promotions in June. All right. Good question. Good questions. Let me see if there's anything else that I have to share with you guys here. That may have been my last slide. So that was my last slide. So that should show you how you can actually hit all of your positions within myEcon. It also should show you what your commissions are, okay? And what you want to do is you want to take this training and you want to take this document, these commission documents, and take a look at them so that you understand exactly what you're getting paid out, okay? Now, one thing that I also want to say, and then I'm going to close the call out, if you are a network marketer who's been in other network marketing companies in the past, I really want to explain to you why this generation thing is so powerful. In other network marketing companies, if you don't stay ahead of the people that you bring in, you could end up not making any money off of them. Let me give an example. In my previous company, I brought in a guy who was just a superstar, and he is a superstar. I started with like 10 or 12 people in my organization. I brought this one individual in, and probably in 4 or 5 months, my organization had grown to 200 people. But here's what happened. He passed me in rank. He passed me in rank. And once he passed me in rank, anybody that he brought into the organization after that, I received zero from. I received nothing because he had passed me in rank. And when he passed me in rank, I received zero. I received nothing, okay? And the only way that I could receive something is that I had to catch him and stay ahead of him in order to benefit from any activity that he was doing, okay? That's very difficult sometimes if you're dealing with somebody that's experienced, that has been around the game, and he had been around the game for a long time. He was like a platinum in Amway at one point in time, so he had been around the game, and I found him on the internet, or he actually found me on the internet, so I kind of got lucky, and he came into the business, and he just passed me, okay? Now, here's the sweet thing about myEcon. If you're looking at this page here, let's just say that I brought that guy in, and he was a EVP, and he became an EVP on generation number 1. So if you see generation number 1, everything that he brought in, I would receive $5. Even if he became a infinity, if he became an EVP infinity, he's still in my generation number 1. So he's making all the big bucks as an infinity. You know, he's over here putting people in, and he's making all this big money, but I still receive money off of him because he's in my generation 1. And then as his team grows and he's promoting EVPs, they're going to be in my generation 2, 3, and 4. Now, I may not ever get to generation 5, and I may miss out on some money there. But the fact of the matter is that I will make something. I will make something versus making nothing. And that's because we deal in generations and we don't deal on levels. So I want you guys to understand that. That's a huge mind shift if you've dealt with network marketing before, because it took me a little while to understand this, because I didn't understand how I can automatically go from EVP making $1 residual and go to EVP Gold and make $3 residual off of the same people that I was making $1 off of. I didn't understand that until I started understanding generation. There's a difference between generation and levels. So when you're looking at other comp plans and other compensation plans, make sure you're looking apples to apples. When I was in my other previous company, we worked off of levels, not generation. So it's a big difference between those two. Okay. So let me see what kind of questions are out there. What is the average annual income for each rank? EVP, EVP Gold, EVP Platinum, EVP Infinity. I honestly will say this. I don't think that there is an average income for each rank, simply because you could be an EVP. You can be an EVP. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. If there's someone that's more senior to me on this call that could give an answer to that, I don't know if there is an average annual income for each rank. I was an EVP, and I hit EVP Gold, so I don't know what my average income was for EVP because I didn't stop. I wasn't an EVP I wasn't an EVP long enough to know what the average income for the year was for EVP. So I don't know if I can answer that question. Okay. Here's the answer. There's no average because it all depends on how much they have in their network. That's true. That's true. Thank you. Thank you for that. So it's a little bit tough. What you have to do is you have to look at these numbers and you have to say, how big do I want to grow my organization? And do I want to dig into my base shop? Do I want to grow people out of my base shop as EVPs? To see, I'll be honest with you. I had people come into my base shop when I first started myEcon, and I really didn't understand the whole base shop concept. I had people in my base shop that I never talked to, and then they quit the business. So I missed out. I missed out because I didn't cultivate somebody that was already in the base shop who could have been promoted to EVP, and I could have had 2 more people in the base shop. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, your base shop is where your gold is. That's the gold mine. You got to stay in your base shop. Okay? All right. Any questions out there? If you star 6 on your phone, that will unmute you for any questions. I know that we didn't have a whole lot of questions. I'm almost afraid to unmute the entire call because somebody is going to have some loud noise going on, but I'm going to unmute just to see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the call is unmuted. Are there any questions out there? Any questions on the call? All right, folks.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, and what can I compensation plan?
Oh, I can barely hear you. Can you type your question in?
Yes.
Go ahead and type your question in. I'm gonna mute this call back. If the young lady who had a question, if you'll type in your question, I'll answer your question. For the rest of you, if you guys want to start dropping off the call, you can drop off the call. Hopefully this was good information. I know that this is very detailed. Somebody said, where do I find this plan? These documents that you see here are documents on in your back office. So if you go to your back office, if you're brand new to myEcon, if you go to your back office, you're going to see this heading called Docs. If you click on Docs, you're going to see your documents. And here's the thing that you need to be aware of. Every time they put something new out, it's going to be red. So you'll see that there's a new compensation PDF. You want to download that to see what changes have been updated. So this lets you know when the compensation plan is updated. So you want to download that. So that's your compensation plan, document 603 and 604. You'll also see document 502 and 503. So you can download those. And what I would do, this recording is going to be available. I'm going to have the recording available within the next 24 to 48 hours. The recording will be available. I would take this recording and then I would take these documents and kind of go through this. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a replay of the call. Yes, sir, I will have a replay of the call. Ladies and gentlemen, the compensation plan is detailed. It took me probably 2 weeks to read the document over and over and over and over and over again until I really, really understood it. So if anybody wants to get with me, you have my number. My number is 678-837-5863. If there's any part of the compensation plan that you don't understand, give me a call. You can also find me on Facebook, June Collier on Facebook. You can drop me an email, june@junecollier.com, if you have a question about the compensation plan. But before you ask me a question about the compensation plan, at least try to read it for yourself, because it's just like the Bible. You know, you get more out of it if you read it for yourself than listen to the pastor on Sunday morning. So go through the comp plan, read it yourself, go through this video. It's a long training video that we did tonight, but hopefully it's detailed enough that you got the information. All right. please repeat my number. The number is 678-837-5863. 5863. All right. If you're signing people up in your downline, take the time to walk your people through their back office. People that are in the business should not have to ask where to find the documents in the back office. I agree. There's a viewer out there that says, hey, make sure that your people know where to go. And that's not a slight on the person who asked the question, but for those of you who are bringing and sponsoring people in this business, if you bring people in this business and they don't even know how to get in their back office, that's your fault. You're not a leader. You're not a leader if you're bringing somebody in this business and they don't know how to get to their back office. That's just a shame. So you got to do your quick start training, and you got to step up to be a leader. Remember, you don't have to be a great recruiter to make a lot of money in myEcon, but you do have to be a great leader. So this is June Collier signing off. Thank you guys for being on the call. I will make the replay available to you. Just check my Facebook timeline. I'll make that replay available to you. It will be in the next 24 to 48 hours. So thanks again for sticking online for so long. We've been here an hour and a half. I want to thank you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks again. Bye for now.